Now, before we put the gun back together, I've got to take this striker spring off. And there's a little trick to this. If you'll notice right here, these are plastic and they're called spring cups. They actually capture the spring onto the striker itself or the firing pin itself. There's a little lip here. So to remove those, all I've got to do is grab this thing with two hands and then press down, and there's the spring cups. And then be careful to let that spring off nice and gently and pull the spring off. So now, let's compare our springs. Okay, factory spring and our competition spring. And again, it's a little lighter, and you can kind of feel it just by touching them. This one is a little heavier gauge, and this one's a little lighter gauge. Basically the same height, though. All right? So again, the lighter spring gives us a lighter trigger pull because we're pulling back on less weight. All right, so now I can take my striker again, and I'm going to put this new competition spring onto the striker assembly. The striker assembly, as you'll see, this is the spacer sleeve, and it's there for a reason. I just took it off to show you how it goes. Comes through like so. Now you're going to notice that it's very difficult to put this spring on and keep that striker spring where it's, or that spacer sleeve where it's supposed to be. So there's a trick to this. The trick is to take your slide, anchor it on the ground like so, use the slide channel for the striker itself, or the firing pin, and put this guy, this spacer sleeve in here like so. Now what that's going to do is going to enable me to compress the spring on this without that striker or that spacer sleeve moving all over the place. All right, so let's see here. Make sure you can get that. Maybe I should get out of the way real quick so you can see what that looks like. Okay, here's the spring now. All right, here's the hardest thing you're going to do this week is to manipulate the spring on top, compress it, and put your spring cups back into it. Here's your spring cups. Remember, these are, and there's two pieces. They're so tiny that my hands are burying them, so here they are. We've got this guy here, and the way that I've done this in the past is I'll take one of the spring cups. Okay, so I've got the striker captured. I'm going to go ahead and compress the spring, get one spring cup started, and put it down into the spring. And now that I've got that captured, I'll grab the other one and put it over here too at the same time. And that sounded good. I think I got it. Good. And I don't even have my glasses on, but it doesn't look great. So let me see if I can get be centered up a little bit better. Okay. So you're going to want to make sure that it seats itself properly and that the two pieces of the cups join nicely, and there it is. You'll see that the spring cups capture the spring onto the striker, just like that. All right. And again, the trick was right there. So you have another third hand to hold this striker while you work. One cup at a time. Put it on there, then put the other one on. And then you may have to kind of slide them around to make sure that they match up perfectly. They're supposed to join like so, not like that. Okay? You got to join them like this. There's two pieces, they come together. But it's not that hard. You saw it, you know. I mean, if I can do it, certainly you can do it as well. All right. So now there's the two replacement springs installed. So let me go ahead now, and I'm going to reassemble this slide very quickly because I know this is getting too long for you. And here we go. So here's the extractor, okay? Extractor only goes in one way. And we're going to drop it in. You can see how it fits. It wants to live like that, okay? All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and take the safety plunger. Now keeping in mind that these guys intersect with each other, so I may have to move that extractor in and out a little bit. Safety plunger goes in the hole. I don't want to drop the thing upside down, but I want to make sure that this spring stays straight up and down while I drop that in. Okay. Now I want to get it down there, and then I want to capture it just like I did there. So I pushed it in, pulled the extractor out just a little bit and pushed the extractor back in as I push down, and that kind of captures it into the hole. So the extractor holds that in place. So now this extractor plunger assembly is going to go in with the steel side down, okay, the plastic up, and it intersects with and it pushes on the extractor. You can see it sticking out of the, right there, that steel piece right there. Okay? And then our firing pin assembly, or striker assembly, just slides right in. Okay, so we have our spring pressure. That looks good. There's a little bit of motion there. Looks good. Everything's looking good. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to test that this thing is going to go forward. It looks good. It's sticking out there. It looks like when I push the plunger down, it looks good. The plunger popped back up. So everything looks like it's working. And that's important to kind of test before you put your final piece on, which is the slide cover plate. And now this is kind of an easy process, but there is a little trick to this as well. So we want to get it started. And as we've got it started, then I come in here with my punch, and I just want to push down on the spacer sleeve, the plastic spacer sleeve, and then push up with this slide cover plate. And you'll notice that I have it kind of crooked a little bit, so I've got to take it out and make sure it starts in there straight, because it won't go in if it's cattywampus a little bit. So I'll push that down and push forward. Now, you've got now this extractor depressor plunger assembly. We just want to push that plastic piece down and push on my slide cover plate. And sometimes it helps to have a smaller punch for that, but that one seemed to work. And then push up, and you'll hear a very distinctive click. And that's always a good sign, because now what happened is not only did that click into place, but the spacer sleeve clicked into place behind it. There's a little bit of a ring there, so it clicked up because we had some spring pressure on it, and as soon as it seated itself, it clicked. So now what we want to do before we do anything else is just test it again. So we know that the striker is in place and looks good. There's spring pressure backwards with the striker, so I can pull down on the striker like so. And if I push the safety plunger forward, the striker will pop out of the breech face. And there it is right there. And I'll pull it back just so you see that that's the off position in a sense. And then again, just to repeat, push that forward, and there's the striker. And that's the motion we're looking for. See the striker coming up and down? Okay. So looks like that's successful.